left. Two things are required: endeavor and kripa. So these two I am taking in my heart and moving forward, Prabhu. What is our level of endeavor, Lord will see, and then kripa, Prabhu. I never thought I will touch the instrument. I was having so much fear actually. How I can do actually? In this age of 50 years, going to be 50 years, how I can touch? But that endeavor which is moving me forward, Prabhu, motivation, it is motivating me. That trust, I don't know, Lord is giving the trust and empowerment, Prabhu. So I will move forward, Prabhu. I will move and
nice, Prabhu. Thank you. Thank you. You are inspiration for many of us.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna. So welcome back all the devotees. So this week we are fortunate to hear from this Narsimha Prabhu. Prabhu doesn't need an introduction. He is one of the pillars of this group. He is doing a lot of services, and his preaching style is very unique. All have experienced it without wasting much time, because Prabhu also want to leave early because he has some other work. So I'd like to invite Nitya Prabhu. Please continue where we left last week. Then you are going to start from chapter 1, Madhya Lila, chapter 1, verse 138 onwards. Over to you, Prabhu. With your permission, I already switched on the live recording. Over to you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Am I audible, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, it is. You are audible.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So, first of all, my respectful officers to all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas assembled in this Zoom platform. With the mercy of my Guru and seniors, I will start today's class with the prayers. Om Ajnana Timrandasya Jnana Jana Salakaya Chakshuruntam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasad Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamni. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharan Vishesh Shunyavadi Pashtata Deshthani. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai Gaurango Nitai 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 Gaurango Nitai 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 Gaurango Gaura 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 Hari Gaura 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 Hari Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Jai Sachinandana Gaura Hari Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavandi ki jai. Ajanulambito bhujo kanakavadato sankirtanai kapitaro kamalayataksho Vishwambaro dijabaro yugadharma palo Vande jagat priya karo karunavataro Vande jagat priya karo karunavataro Vande jagat priya karo karunavataro. So before starting today's verse, I will quickly recap the previous overview of past times in Jagannath Puri. So from verse 121 to 145, different devotees have covered. So quickly we'll recap for 2 minutes, then I will go with the today's verse. So in the pastimes of Puri, we have seen that after returning from South India, the Lord saw the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannatha. And when Jagannatha was absent from the temple, he felt separation and went to Alalnatha. So devotees from Bengal came to Puri and Nityananda and Sarvabhauma, and they endeavored to take the Lord back to Puri. The Lord left Alalnatha and went to Puri. He was overwhelmed with separation from Jagannatha. Devotees performed Sankirtana, and thus the Lord's mind was pacified. Then Ramananda Raya resigned from his post and arrived at Puri as it was decided during the Lord's South India tour. So bestowed by the mercy of Kashi Mishra, met Pradyumna Mishra, Paramananda Puri, Govinda, Kasheshwara and others, and met Swarup Damodara, Sikhi Mahiti and Bhavananda Rai, and met the residents of Kulinagrama and Kanda, Narahari Dasa, Shivananda Sena and others who came to see the Lord in Jagannath Puri. Saw the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannatha, cleansed Sri Gundicha temple with the assistance of many devotees, and further saw the Rathayatra dance in front of the car, bestowed mercy to King Prataprudra in the garden, gave separate orders to all Bengal devotees and ordered them to come every year for Rathayatra. Then in the verse 137, where last week Hargreaves Radharani Mataji briefed, invited to dine at the house of Sarvabhauma, and Sarvabhauma's son-in-law then criticized the Lord, and Sati's mother cursed the son-in-law. So today onwards, so verses will be reading from verse 138 onwards. So in the from 138 to 147, we'll see what are the highlights. At the end of the year, devotees from Bengal again visited Puri. The Lord allotted them residence, and Shivananda Sena took care of their maintenance. Shivananda Sena's dog saw the Lord's lotus feet and went back to Godhead. And in verse 141, everyone met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on his way to Varanasi. The Lord performed water sports with the devotees. The Lord washed the Gundicha temple, and the devotees saw Rathayatra and the Lord's dancing. Krishna Dasa performed the bathing ceremony of Lord Chaitanya, saw the activities of Goddess of Fortune on Hera Panchami, dressed himself as a cowherd boy on Janmashtami day, and bade farewell to all the devotees of Bengal. And further, the Lord attempts to go to Vrindavanam. So these are the verses which we are going to cover today from verse 138. Madhya Lila, text 138. Varshantere Advaitadi Bhaktira Agamana Prabhura Dekite Sabe Karila Gamana. At the end of the year, all the devotees from Bengal, headed by Advaita Acharya, again came to see the Lord. Indeed, there was a great rush of devotees to Jagannath Puri. So we all know that when Jagannath Puri, Jagannath Rathayatra starts, before that, so much of preparation is there, and devotees arrive there before the Rathayatra starts. Anande sabare niya dina vasa sthana Shivananda sena kare sabara palana. When all the devotees from Bengal arrived, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allotted them residential quarters, and Shivananda Sena was put in charge of their maintenance. Verse 140, Shivanandera Sange Aila Kukura Bhagyavana Prabhura Charana Deki Kaila Antaradhana. A dog accompanied Shivananda Sena and the devotees, and that dog was so fortunate that after seeing the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was liberated and went back home, back to Godhead. So here we can see how Lord has liberated even the dog. And the Shivananda Sena, we have seen that how he humbly served the dog. He saw in each and every living entity the presence of the Lord. So that's how even the dog has also, by the mercy of Shivananda Sena, by the mercy of the Lord, the dog got liberated in the same lifetime. Pate Sarvabhauma Saha Sabara Milana Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya Kashita Gamana. everyone met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on his way to Varanasi. Prabhu re milila sarva Vaishnava shiyam Jalakida Kaila Prabhu Sabare Lahiya. So after arriving at Jagannath Puri, all the Vaishnavas met with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sported in the water, taking all the devotees with him. Sabalana Kaila Gundicha Graha Samarjana Ratha Yatra Darshane Prabhura Naratana. First, the Lord washed the temple of Gundicha very thoroughly. Then everyone saw the Rath Yatra festival and the Lord's dancing before the cart. So here we can see the Lord himself set an example how we need to clean the temple, and in the Gundicha Marjana he has engaged all the devotees so that to purify our heart we should clean the temple nicely. So he engaged everyone as a leader, the Lord himself. He set an example that how one should clean the temple. Upavane Kaila Prabhu Vivida Vilasa Prabhura Abhisheka Kaila Vipra Krishna Dasa. In the garden along the road from the Jagannath temple to Gundicha, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed various pastimes. A Brahmana named Krishna Dasa performed the bathing ceremony of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this Krishna Das is not Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami, he is another Brahmana. Gundicha Nitya Ante Kaila Jala Keli Hera Panchamite Dekhila Lakshmi Devira Keli. After dancing in the Gundicha temple, the Lord sported in the water with his devotees. And on Hera Panchami day, they all saw the activities of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. Krishna Janma Yatrate Prabhu Gopa Vesha Haila Dadi Bharavahi Tabe Lagudapa Pirelam. So on the day of Janmashtami, Lord Krishna's birthday, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as a cowherd boy. At that time, he carried a balance with the pots of yogurt and wheeled a rod about. And we all know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than the combined form of Radha and Krishna. So on the day of Janmashtami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is dressing himself as a cowherd boy and he is doing these pastimes. Gaudera Bhakta Ganita Be Karila Vidaya Sangera Bhakta Lana Kere Kirtana Sadaya. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to all the devotees from Desh, Bengal, and continued chanting with his intimate devotees who constantly remained with him. Vrindavane Aite Kaila Gaudera Gamana Pratapa Rudra Kaila Pate Vivida Sevana. To visit Vrindavana, the Lord went to Desh, Bengal. On the way, King Prataprudra performed a variety of services to please the Lord. So we all know that during that time, Prataprudra was the king, and it was like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually do not want to meet Prataprudra. Why? Because people will think that sannyasi should not mingle with the people who are having all the opulences. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is avoiding Prataprudra. But Prataprudra, being a king, he was such a humble and he want to do the menial service to the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Puri Goshane Sange Vastra Pradana Prasanga Ramananda Raya Bhadraka Priyanta. On the way to Vrindavana, by Bengal, there was an incident wherein some clothes was exchanged with Puri Goswami. Sri Ramananda Raya accompanied the Lord as far as the city of Bhadra. Ashi Vidya Vachaspatira Grehete Rahila Prabhura Dekite Loka Sangata Haila. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Vidyanagar, Bengal, on the way to Vrindavana, he stopped at the house of Vidya Vachaspati, who was the brother of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly arrived at his house, great crowds of people gathered. Panchadina dekhe loka nahika vishrama loka bhaye ratre prabhu aila kuliya grama. For 5 consecutive days, all the people gathered to see the Lord, and still there was no rest. Out of fear of the crowd, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left at night and went to the town of Kuliam, present day Navadvipa. If one considers the statement of the Chaitanya Bhagavat along with the descriptions of Lochan Das Thakur, it is clear that present day Navadvipa was formerly known as Kulia Grama. While at the Kulia Grama, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his favor upon Devananda Pandita and delivered Gopala Chapala and many others who had previously committed offences at his lotus feet. At that time, to go from the Vidyanagar to Kulia Grama, one had to cross a branch of the Ganges. All of those old places still exist. China Danga was formerly situated in Kulia Grama, which is now known as Kolera Ganja. So this is descriptions are given in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Also, the place about the Kulia Gram, it is mentioned in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Also, Kulia Gramete Prabhura Suniya Gamana Koti Koti Loki Ashi Kaila Darshana. Hearing of the Lord's arrival in Kulia Grama, many hundreds of thousands of people came to see him. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Kulia Grama, thousands of people gathered to see the Lord. Kulia Grama Kaile Devanandera Prasada Gopala Viprera Chamaila Shivasa Paradham. The specific acts performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at this time were showing favor to Devananda Pandita and excusing the Brahmana known as Gopala Chapala from the offense he had committed at the lotus feet of Shiva's Thakura. And we see in the previous chapters that Gopala Chapala actually offended Shiva's Thakur, but still, so that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Mahavadana Avatar. He is giving mercy to this devotee, and also he is forgiving the offenses committed by Gopala Chapala to Srivas Thakur. Pasande Nindaka Shri Padila Charane Aparadakshami Tare Dila Krishna Preme. Many atheists and blasphemers came and fell at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord in return excused them and gave them love of Krishna. So that's why Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called as Mahavadana Avatar, because so many people offended to the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and to the Lord himself, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't see that. He is liberated the great offenders like Jagai and Madai. And here we can see many atheists and atheistic people and the blasphemers, they came and paid the obeisances at the lotus feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Vrindavana Yevana Prabhu Sri Narsimha Nandana Pata Sajalena Mane Paila Ananda. So when Sri Narsimhanandan Brahmachari heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to the Vrindavana, he became very pleased and mentally began decorating the way there. Kulia Nagare Hate Pataratna Bandailam Nivritna Pushpa Saya Upare Patila. So first Narsimhananda Brahmachari contemplated a broad road starting from the city of Kulia. He bedecked the road with the jewels, upon which he then laid a bed stemless flowers. So here we can see that this Brahmachari was not like opulent. He was not materially opulent, but at the same time, he was meditating how to make the road works, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to Vrindavan, so he want to make a road. So he was mentally making the road so that's why we can see in the subsequent chapters also, and in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord is called as Bhavagrahi Janardhan. He's only seeing the Bhava. So the pure devotees even can worship the Lord mentally. Of course, not normal devotees, but here we can see that Narsimhananda Brahmachari is a great exalted pure devotee of the Lord. So he's constructing the road mentally. पाते दुई दिखा पुष्पा बाकुले राश्रेणी मध्ये मध्ये दुई पाशे दिवा पुष्करणी. He mentally decorated both sides of the road with a bakula of flower trees, and at intervals on both sides he placed lakes of transcendental nature. Ratna bandi gata kahe prafulla kamala nana pakshi kolahala shuddha samajala. So these lakes had bathing places constructed with jewels, and they were filled with the blossoming lotus flowers. There were various birds and chirping, and the water was exactly like nectar. So all this scene is created by this Narsimananda Brahmachari. Shitala Samira Vahe Nana Kandalana Kanayara Natashala Paryanta Laila Bandina. The entire road was surcharged with many cool breezes which carried the fragrances from the various flowers. He carried the construction of this road as far as Kanaya Natshala. So in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada mentions Kanaya Natshala is about 200 miles from Calcutta on the loop line of the Eastern Railway. The railway station is named Talaj Hadi, and after one gets off at that station, he has to go about 2 miles to find Kanaya Natshala. आगे मन नहीं चले ना पारे बंदिते पाता बंदा नहीं आया नरसिम्हा विस्मते. Within the mind of Narsimananda Brahmachari, the road could not be constructed beyond Kanaya Natshala. He could not understand why the road's construction could not be completed, and thus he was astonished. So he could do up to the only he constructed up to Kanaya Natshala. Beyond that, he was not able to do mentally. Nishchaya kariya kahi suna bhakta gana ye barana ye bena Prabhu Shri Vrindavana. With great assurance, he then told the devotees that Lord Chaitanya would not go to Vrindavana at that time. So, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, Srila Narsimananda Brahmachari was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, when he heard that from Pulia, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was going to Vrindavana, although he had no material wealth, he began to construct within his mind a very attractive path or road for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to traverse. Some of the descriptions of this path is given above. But even mentally, he could not construct the road beyond Kanaya Natshala. Therefore, he concluded that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not go to Vrindavana at that time. For a pure devotee, it is the same whether he materially constructs a path or constructs one within his mind. This is because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana, is Bhavagrahi, or the appreciative of the sentiment. For him, a path made with the actual jewels and a path made of mental jewels are the same. So here Prabhupada is emphasizing that for a devotee like Narsimha Brahmachari, or a devotee, for a pure devotee, a path made with the jewels and a path made of mental jewels are the same. Though subtle, mind is also a matter. So any path, indeed anything for the service of the Lord, whether in gross matter or in a subtle matter, is accepted equally by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord accepts the attitude of his devotee and sees how much he is prepared to serve. The devotee is at liberty to serve the Lord either in gross matter or in subtle matter. The important point is that the service be in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9.26, which is the famous sloka. Patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhakta prayachati tadam bhakti upahatam asnami pratatpana. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. The real ingredient is bhakti, devotion. Pure devotion is uncontaminated by the moods of material nature, ahituki apratihata. Unconditioned devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. This means that one does not have to be very rich to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the poorest man can equally serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead if he has pure devotion. If there is no ulterior motive, the devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that to do the pure devotional service, our material opulences are, of course, if it is there, we can engage it, but these material things are not the hindrance to do the devotional service. So anybody can do the devotional service And that's why here Prabhupada is emphasizing that any poor person can also do the pure devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Karnaya Nira Natashala Haite Ashiba Firina Janibe Paschat Kahila Nischaya Karina. So Narsimananda Brahmachari said, the Lord will go to Kanaya Natshala and then will return. All of you will come to know of this later, but now I say this with great assurance. So here, after Kanaya Natshala, he could not construct. So that means the Lord is not going to go to Vrindavana. Goshane Kuliya Haite Chalila Vrindavana Sangye Sahasrika Loka Yata Bhaktagana. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to proceed from Kulia towards Vrindavana, thousands of men were with him, and all of them were devotees. Yahan Yaha Prabhu Tana Koti Sankhya Loka Dekita Aishe Dekhe Kande Dukha Shoka. Wherever the Lord visited, crowds of innumerable people came to see him. When they saw him, all their unhappiness and lamentation disappeared. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu marched towards Vrindavana, so thousands of people followed them. And just by seeing at the Lord's lotus feet, the all unhappiness vanished. Yahan Yahan Prabhura Charane Padiya Chalite Semniti Kaloya Loka Gattaya Pate. Wherever the Lord touched the ground with his lotus feet, people immediately came and gathered the dirt. Indeed, they gathered so much that many moats were created in the road. So here, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walking on the roads, so all the devotees, they took the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They not only took the dust, they dug the hole. So that much dust they collected from the roads by the devotees of the Lord. Aiche chale aila Prabhu Rama kile grama Godera nikata grama ati anupama. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eventually arrived at a village named Ramakeli. This village is situated on the border of Bengal and is very exquisite. Ramakeli Grama is situated on the banks of the Ganges on the border of Bengal. Sri Rupa and Sanatana Goswami had their residence in this village. So here Ramakeli, so there are so many projects also going. So we can see this is the place of our Goswamis, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami's village. Tahanita Kare Prabhu Prema Achatana Koti Koti Loka Aishe Dekite Charana. While performing Sankirtana in Ramakeli Grama, the Lord danced and sometimes lost consciousness due to love of God. While at Ramakeli Grama, an unlimited number of people came to see his lotus feet. Gaudeshwaraya Vana Raja Prabhava Sunina Kahite Lagila Kichu Shmitana. When the Muslim king of Bengal heard of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's influence in attracting innumerable people, he became very much astonished and began to speak as follows. At that time, the Muslim king of Bengal was Nawab Hussain Shah, Badshahan. Veena Dane Yeta Loke Yanra Pachehaya Seita Goshaniya Janiya Nischaya. Such a person who is followed by so many people without giving them charity must be prophet. I can surely understood this fact. Even Nawab Hussain Shah also surprised because people were coming and complaining to Nawab Hussain Shah that such a such person is doing Harina Sankirtan and is walking on the streets with thousands of devotees. So that time Hussain Shah told that he is not an ordinary person, he is a great prophet. He is so that's why he has not disturbed the yatra. Kaji Yavana Iharana Tariya Himsana Apana Ichaya Buluna Yahan Nuharan Mana. The Muslim king ordered the magistrate, do not disturb this Hindu prophet out of jealousy. Let him do his own will wherever he likes. So even Hussain Shah also supported. And the purport Srila Prabhupada mentions Even a Muslim king could understand Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's transcendental position as a prophet. Therefore, he ordered the local magistrate not to disturb him, but to let him do whatever he liked. Keshava Chatrite Raja Varta Puchila Prabhura Mahima Chatre Udaila Dila. When the Muslim king asked his assistant Keshava Chhatri for news of the influence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Keshava Chhatri, although knowing everything about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, tried to avoid the conversation by not giving any importance to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's activities. The purport Srila Prabhupada mentions, Keshava Chhatri became a diplomat when questioned about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Although he knew everything about him, he was afraid that the Muslim king might become his enemy. He gave no importance to the Lord activities, so that the Muslim king would take him to be an ordinary man and would not give him any trouble. So here, when Hussain Shah asked his secretary Keshav Chhatri, of course Keshav Chhatri was knowing all about the Lord, but being a Muslim, so the king being the Muslim, he has not revealed. He has, in fact, he has ignored that, saying that whatever activities Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees were doing, he has not revealed to Nawab Hussain Shah. Bikare sannyasi kare tita paryatana kandre deki bare she dui chara jana. Keshav Chhatri informed the Muslim king that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a mendicant touring different places of pilgrimage, and that as such only a few people came to see him. Even though thousands of people were going with him, with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he told that very few people are going, and he is a mendicant, like that he has told. Why? Because if we tell as it is, maybe because of enviousness or because of people reporting wrongly, he may take some undue advantage. So that's why Chhatri has not revealed as it is. Yavana tomara tane karaya lagane tanra himsaya labhanai ayarane. Keshav Chhatri said, out of jealousy, your Muslim servant plots against him. I think that you should not be very interested in him, for there is no profit in it, rather there is simply loss. So Keshav Chhatri was playing the diplomatic role, and he told that we should not be envious of the Lord, and that's how they have not shown much interest in that. So simply, if we do something like stopping the Sankirtan Yajna and all, Keshav Chhatri is telling that it will impact us only. Rajara Prabodhi Keshava Brahmana Patana Chali Bharatare Prabhura Patela Kaina. After pacifying the king in this way, Keshav Chhatri sent a Brahmana messenger to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requesting him to leave without delay. Dabira Kashira Raja Puchila Nibrite Goshani Ramai Matandre Lagila Kaite. So in private, the king inquired from Dabira Kasa. So here Dabira Kasa is none other than Sri Rupa Goswami, who began to speak about the glories of the Lord. Ye tomara Raja Dila, ye tomara Goshana, tomara Deshe, tomara Bhagya, Janmila Shina. So Srila Rupa Goswami said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead who gave you this kingdom and whom you accept as a prophet has taken birth in your country due to your good fortune. So Dabir, actually this Nawab Hussain Shah, he could not trust the Keshav Chhatri. Then further he is asking to his near and dear secretaries such as Rupa Goswami. And further Rupa Goswami is telling that because he was favorable, Nawab Hussain Shah, so Rupa Goswami is telling that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, has taken birth at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this kingdom, and you are accepting him as a prophet, has taken birth in this country. So that's how Rupa Goswami is explaining to Nawab Hussain Shah. Tomara Mangala Vanche Kariya Sitahaya Ihara Ashirvade Tomara Sarvatra Ijaya. This prophet always desires your good fortune. By his grace, all your business is successful. By his blessings, you will attain victory everywhere. So all the positive things Rupa Goswami is telling to Nawab Husain Shah. By the mercy of the Prophet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the business will be successful and the blessings will be there and the victory is always there. मोरे के ना पूछा तुम्हें पूछाओ अपमाना तुम्हें नारा दीपा वाह्य विष्णु अंश समा. Why are you questioning me? Better that you question your own mind, because you are the king of the people, you are the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you can understand this better than I. So here, Rupa Goswami is telling to Nawab Husain Sam, why you are asking me? Better you ask your own mind, because you are the king. So king is the representative of the Lord. That's how Rupa Goswami is asking. Therefore, you can understand this better than I. So that is the humility of Sri Rupa Goswami. Tomara chitte chaitanya ra kaichi haya jnana tomara chitte ye laya sehita pramana. Thus, Sri Rupa Goswami informed the king about his mind as a way of knowing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He assured the king that whatever occurred in his mind could be considered evident. Raja kahe suna mora mane laya sakshat ishvara yan nahika samshaya. The king replied, I consider Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There is no doubt about it. So the way in which Rupa Goswami convinced, so also king convinced that yes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eta kahe raja gela nija abhayantara tabe dabira kasa aila apanara gare. After having this conversation with Rupa Goswami, the king entered his private house. Rupa Goswami, then known as Dabir Khasa, also returned to his residence. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions, a monarch is certainly a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the proprietor of all planetary systems. In each and every planet, there must be some king, governmental head or executive. Such a person is supposed to be the representative of Lord Vishnu. On behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he must see to the interest of all the people. Therefore, Lord Vishnu, as Paramatma, gave the king all intelligence to execute governmental affairs. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore asked the king what was in his mind concerning Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and indicated that whatever the king thought about him was correct. So here, Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that king is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And whatever king does, he follows the previous Guru, Sadhu, Guru and Shastra. And that's how, so if a kingdom is prospering means, that means the king is doing the responsibility of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's how Rupa Goswami convinced the king, Nawab Husain Shah. घरे ऐसे दुई भाई लुकती करीना प्रभु देखी बारे चले वेशे लुकाना. After returning to his residence, Dabir Khasa and his brother decided, after much consideration, to go to see the Lord incognito. Arda ratre doi bhai aila prabhu sthane prathama milina nityananda haridasa sane. So thus, in the dead of night, the two brothers, Dabir Khasa and Sakir Malika, went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu incognito. First, they met Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. So Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, before initiation, their name was Dabir Khasa and Sakir Malika. So since that time, the Muslim rulers were there. So these two means Dabir Khasa and Sakir Malika, they were the representing, that they were assisting in the kingdom of Nawab Husain Shah. So on the midnight, this Dabir Khasa and Sakir Malika went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and first they met Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur. Tandra due jana janila prabhura gochara Rupa Sakara Malika Ila Toma Diki Bare. Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur told Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that two personalities, Sri Rupa and Sanatana, had come to see him. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions Sakara Malika was the name of Sanatana Goswami and Dabir Kasa was the name of Rupa Goswami. They were recognized by these names in the service of the Muslim king. Therefore, these are the Muslim names. As officials, the brothers adopted all kinds of Muslim customs. Dui Guchatrina Dhuni Dasane Darina Gale Vastra Bande Pade Dandavata Hana. In great humility, both brothers took bunches of straw between their teeth and each binding a cloth around his neck fell down like rods before the Lord. So that's how Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami fell at the lotus feet of the Lord like a rod. Danya Rodana Kare Anand Devi Vihavala Prabhu Kahe Uttha Haila Mangala. So upon seeing Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the two brothers were overwhelmed with joy and out of humility they began to cry. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked them to get up and assured them of all good fortune. So this is the first meeting of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when they fell like rods, the torrents of tears were coming from the eyes of Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami. Utti doi bhai tabe tante dante trinadhari danya kare stuti kare karyoda kare. The two brothers got up and again taking straw between their teeth, they humbly offered the prayers with folded hands. Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Daya Maya Patita Pavana Jaya Jaya Mahashaya. All glories to Shri Chaitanya. All glories to Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most merciful savior of the fallen souls. All glories to the Supreme Personality. Nicha Jati Nicha Sangye Kadi Nicha Kaja Tomara Agrete Prabhu Kahita Vashi Laja. Sir, we belong to the lowest class of men and our associates and employment are also the lowest type. Therefore, we cannot introduce ourselves to you. We feel very much ashamed standing here before you. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that although the two brothers, Rupa and Sanatana, at that time, Dabir Kasa and Sakri Malik, presented themselves as being born in a low family, they nonetheless belonged to the most respectable Brahmana family that was originally from Karnataka. Thus, they actually belong to the Brahmana caste. Unfortunately, because of being associated with Muslim governments, service, their customs and behavior resembled those of the Muslims. Therefore, they presented themselves as Nicha Jati. The word Jati means birth. According to Shastra, there are three kinds of birth. The first birth is born is from the womb of the mother. The second birth is the acceptance of the reformatory method. And the third birth is accepted by the spiritual master, initiation. One becomes abominable by adopting an abominable profession or by associating with people who are naturally abominable. Rupa and Sanatana as Dabir Khasa and Sakar Malik associated with Muslims who were naturally opposed to Brahminical culture and cow protection. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, it is stated that every person belongs to a certain classification. A person is identifiable by the special symptoms mentioned in the Shastra. By one symptom, one is known as belong to a certain caste. Both Dabir Kasa and Sakar Malik belong to the Brahmana caste, but because they were employed by Muslims, their original habit degenerated into those of the Muslim community. Since the symptoms of Brahminical culture were almost nil, they identified themselves with the lowest part. In the Bhakti Ratnakara, it is clearly stated that because Sakar Malika and Dabir Kasa associated with lower class men, they introduced themselves as belonging to the lower classes. Actually, however, they had been born in a respectable Brahmana families. So here we can see how Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they belong to the Karnataka and they were actually born in a Brahmin family. But due to that time, the kingdom was ruled by Muslim government. So they were serving King Hussein's Nawab. So that's how they changed their names. But actually, here we can see that the circumstances make the people to convert. So here that's how, but by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this Rupa and Sanatana Goswami got the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's how in the purport it is mentioned that it is the jati is not by one's like initially we take birth from a mother, and that whichever like low caste or Brahmanical caste, this all depends on the like where we took birth, and then the initiation by the spiritual master, that also changes, that is called initiation. So that's how we also, by the mercy of various Guru Maharajas, we got this mercy, even though we are also working in the Middle East, but by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu movement, by the mercy of Prabhupada, by the mercy of Gurus, we are also like our consciousness got changed by getting the initiation by our spiritual master. So with this note, I'll conclude here. Chaitanya Chaitamrita class ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Over to you, His Kanaya Prabhuji, Ramananda Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Thanks
If
for
any
wonderful.
anomalies or mistakes, please forgive me, Prabhu. And anything is good, that is all mercy of my Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
No anomalies when we speak about the Lord. As I said, everything is taken care by His empowerment, your devotees' empowerment, and the spiritual master and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. So thank you very much, Prabhu, for nice, wonderful flow, and didn't even notice that we covered almost 50 verses today. It was such a wonderful, nice flow. So immersed in the flow that I forgot to write down the points, because what to write, what not to write, as continuous flow of wonderful nectar is flowing. Just 2 points which I could write, then I lost myself. The first one was, it is very nice to see that how even a dog accompanied the devotees could get liberated. So this is a very nice point that we should here keep in mind, that even a dog can get liberated. What about us? Just by following the footsteps of devotees. The dog accompanied Sivananda Sena and other devotees, finally took shelter of lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and got delivered. So this gives a wonderful message to us, that even a dog can get delivered, liberated. What about us? If we sincerely follow and associate with the devotees of the Lord, that is very easy. And the other point is, the material things should not be a hindrance to devotional service. One should not get either puffed up or feel sad that I'm not opulent. Nothing, material things have nothing to do with devotional service. One should engage, whatever condition we are in, engage in devotional service of the Lord. Thank you so much, Nitya Prabhu. I know Nitya Prabhu was a bit tied up with other things. He said he wanted to leave early. In spite of that, he continued almost 50 verses. We'll continue next week from where Prabhu has left, and we'll announce in the group about the preacher. Thank you very much. Since Prabhu is leaving, so there's no time for questions. If anybody has any questions, comments, you can share. Still, anybody has any comments, questions to discuss?